air in the hospital room grew thick with the metallic tang of ozone, a sickly sweet undercurrent of decay clinging to him. His fingers, slick with cold sweat, twitched against the starched white sheets, a frantic, involuntary rhythm. From the hallway came a sound not of footsteps, but of something heavy being dragged, accompanied by a wet, tearing scrape. The storm outside wasn't just rain. It was a whispering, a susurration that seemed to form words just below the threshold of hearing. A primal dread, colder than any fever, seized his lungs, making each inhale a desperate, shallow gasp. This was not a recovery. The thing that had shattered his body on the highway hadn't left him. It had followed him here, into this sterile sanctuary, and now, in the profound stillness between thunderclaps, it was demanding payment for the life it had, against all reason, spared. The blinding flash erupted from the storm-black sky, connecting with John Carter in that rain-soaked field. The world dissolved into pure white, then absolute black. A beat of profound silence followed. John Carter was struck by lightning. The doctors who examined him later all agreed on one thing: he should be dead. But when he woke up, the terminal cancer that was devouring him was gone. He was cured, but the lightning, it left something behind. The air in the room tasted metallic, like ozone and old blood. The pupil constricts with unnatural speed, snapping shut like a camera's aperture. 6 months before the storm, John Carter lived a quiet life in Austin. A history teacher, husband to Sarah, father to Lily. His world was measured in Little League games, Saturday barbecues, and Sunday evenings spent grading papers. It was an ordinary existence, soon to be shattered. The headaches began as a dull, persistent ache. Then the world blurred at the edges, and waves of nausea followed. The diagnosis arrived like a final curtain call. Glioblastoma, stage 4. Tumor, deep in his brain, inoperable. The oncologist, Dr. Evans, gave him 9 months, maybe a year, with aggressive treatment. The air in the quiet office grew heavy, thick with the sterile scent of antiseptic and the faint, metallic tang of fear. He could feel the cold press of the examination table against his back. The words, clinical and precise, landed not with a crash, but with a slow, sinking dread. A primal understanding took hold, cold and absolute. The quiet was not peaceful. It was a vacuum, swallowing the future whole. All he could hear was the soft, rhythmic whisper of his own breath, catching in his throat. John tried chemotherapy, but it left him gaunt and spectral, the vibrant teacher reduced to a phantom haunting his own home. Their hands remained clasped, skin pallid and waxy, as if carved from cold marble. The air around them grew thick and stale, carrying the faint, metallic scent of decay. Every sound was muffled and distant, like whispers from the bottom of a deep, dark well. Sarah watched the man she loved dissolve day by day, each sunrise promising only loss. Then, on an unremarkable Tuesday, a freak spring thunderstorm plunged their home into darkness. The metallic scent of ozone filled the air as John's specialized chemo pill rolled silently under the couch. Frustrated and disoriented by pain, he stumbled toward the backfield and the old shed housing their generator. He never made it. A neighbor on his porch would later describe what happened next, insisting it wasn't just one bolt of lightning. The air grew heavy with the sharp scent of ozone as the storm's fury truly began. It was as if the very heavens turned their attention. A blinding flash and a deafening crack split the air, rattling every window pane. John's body was hurled 15 feet through space, an unnatural force slamming him to the ground. Where he lay, the acrid scent of ozone and scorched fabric clung to the air, his clothes smoldering and torn. John's heart ceased beating in the cold mud as paramedics worked with frantic desperation. A neighbor watched, frozen by the sight. The metallic scent of rain mixing with the damp earth. The air grew heavy with the weight of the moment, every second stretching into an eternity. At St. David's Hospital, they would revive him, but something in that muddy moment had already been lost. Third-degree burns etched his chest in the precise, fractal pattern of a Lichtenberg figure, a permanent lightning scar. He remained in a coma for 72 agonizing hours, the sterile beige walls of his room sleepless. Doctors prepared Sarah for the worst: severe, irreversible brain damage. His survival, should he wake at all, promised a future forever fractured. The room hummed with the low thrum of medical machinery. When his eyes finally opened, they were different, sharper, more focused. There was no confusion, no groggy disorientation as one might expect. The air grew heavy with the scent of ozone and sterile bandages. John's eyes snapped open, sharp and lucid for the first time in months. "Sarah," he whispered, his voice a clear, startling rasp that cut through the room's stagnant air. A strange metallic scent, like ozone and old pennies, hung in the space around him. "My head, it doesn't hurt." He pushed himself upright, the crisp hospital sheets whispering against his skin. He examined his hands, turning them slowly, a disbelieving smile forming. Dr. Evans immediately ordered a full battery of neurological tests. The sterile scent of antiseptic filled the air as they awaited results. When the reports arrived, they defied every scientific principle. The massive, invasive tumor on John's MRI was simply gone, not shrunken, vanished, as if it had been erased. His blood work was clean. His vitals, aside from the burns, looked perfect. Dr. Evans stared at the before and after scans, backlit on a viewing screen. The air grew heavy with the scent of ozone and antiseptic. His face was a mask of profound confusion. The news dubbed it the Texas Miracle. John was a medical marvel, discharged against all odds. He went home, the air thick with the scent of ozone and old wood. He hugged his daughter, his fingers cold and trembling against her small back. For a week, it was paradise. Then, the changes began. First, the senses. The air in his room thickened, tasting of static and something faintly metallic, like old copper. Every sensation became amplified to a painful degree. The sharp whine of electrical currents in the walls, a constant high-pitched assault. Ordinary lights burned his eyes, forcing him to wear sunglasses indoors, while a metallic, sour odor, the scent of sickness, clung to people around him. His world had become a raw, overwhelming barrage of stimuli. Each moment, a struggle against a reality turned hostile to his senses. Then, cutting through it all, came the static. Every object he touched delivered a sharp, painful shock. Doorknobs, car doors, even his daughter Lily's hand, all sparked with tiny blue flares. The air around him carried the faint, metallic scent of ozone. Then, the family cat, Mr. Whiskers, would hiss and arch her back whenever he approached, as if sensing something Lily couldn't perceive. One afternoon, Lily reached out to pet her, only to jerk her hand back with a sharp static shock. She looked at her father not with fear, but with genuine confusion. What was happening to him? Then came the storms. The oppressive weight of an approaching thunderhead would make his skin prickle and his hair stand on end, as if the very air were charged with dread. He felt a relentless, magnetic pull to go outside, to stand beneath the downpour. One evening, Sarah discovered him on the back porch during a violent thunderstorm, his arms slightly outstretched. Tears streamed down his face, blending with the cold rain as ozone and damp earth filled the air. Sarah's tentative voice cut through the storm's roar. "John, come inside." John's voice trembled with a strange mix of reverence and horror as he whispered, "Sarah, do you hear that? It's singing to us." The uneasy score swelled into a droning, electric crescendo that seemed to vibrate through the very air. A metallic tang of ozone filled the room as the final test began. A follow-up MRI that would reveal what couldn't be unseen. The cold, sterile air grew thick with anticipation, every surface seeming to hum at that same unnatural frequency. In the sterile, metallic chamber, the reality of the situation crystallized into something monstrous. As the colossal mechanism thrummed to life, John's scream tore through the clinical quiet. Not a cry of pain, but a raw, guttural eruption of sensory annihilation. Every neuron in his body seemed to fire at once, overwhelmed by a catastrophic flood of input his mind couldn't process. Technicians scrambled toward the shuddering sled, their movements sharp and urgent against the machine's oppressive drone. The machine's hum swelled into a suffocating roar. Its powerful magnetic field seized John, twisting the very air with unseen force. Monitors shattered into static. Lights popped with a sharp, acrid scent of ozone, plunging the room into a flickering, dying gloom. And in the center of the chaos, John's body began to emit an unearthly, ethereal luminescence. A ghostly, blue-white corona shimmered over his skin, tracing the Lichtenberg scars on his chest like a spectral map. From the control room, monitors flickered with violent energy spikes, as the video feed revealed the man's unnatural luminescence. When they finally pulled his limp body from the chamber, the air tasted of ozone and cold metal. Dr. Evans had new scans waiting, their focus not on the mysteries of his mind, but on the impossible energy now fused to his flesh. What they displayed on the monitors defied all medical precedent. The lightning strike hadn't merely healed his injuries. It had fundamentally reconfigured the very architecture of his bioelectrical field. The man had not been cured. He had been rewired. His nervous system had become a chaotic, high-voltage circuit, crackling with unnatural energy. The cancer was gone, but only because every cell in his body had been violently, fundamentally rewritten. Dr. Evans turned to Sarah, his voice grave and heavy with ozone-tinged dread. "We didn't cure him, Sarah." The words hung in the cold, sterile air like a final verdict. The lightning didn't cure him. It replaced the disease with something far worse. His body no longer operates on biochemistry alone. It's now powered by a current we cannot comprehend. The air carries the scent of ozone and decay. Sarah's voice was a trembling whisper in the dark. "Is he dying?" Dr. Evans stared at the monitor, the glowing data painting a picture of something impossible. "I don't know what he is." The conclusion arrived not with a bang, but with the suffocating weight of the unknown settling in the sterile air. The music faded to a single, sustained, haunting note that vibrated in the bones, leaving only the scent of ozone and dread. John is back home now, but home feels alien. The living room is dark, and every appliance has been deliberately unplugged. A faint, metallic scent hangs in the still air, like cold iron. He sits motionless, the quiet pressing in with a weight that stifles thought. His special gloves lay discarded nearby, a cruel reminder of the prison he built with his own cure. Even now, The simple act of watching his daughter play in the yard required thick rubber soles between him and the earth. From his solitary window, John observed Lily's laughter, a sound that now carried the faint, metallic scent of ozone. He was the architect of his own isolation, a father forever separated by the very science that saved him. He presses a gloved palm against the glass. Doctors have no prognosis, only clinical papers labeling his condition, electrophysiological reconfiguration. But John knows it as the charge, a pull that draws him to power lines and humming substations. He dreads the approaching storm, fearing he won't be able to resist its primal call. He was a man pulled back from the brink of death, only to emerge as something profoundly altered. Now, a metallic scent clung to the air around him, a ghost of ozone and old blood. Every surface felt unnervingly cold and slick to his touch, as if the warmth had been leached from the world. And in the quiet, he could perceive a new layer of sound, the faint, ceaseless whisper of electricity in the walls, a hum just beyond normal hearing. Final shot. Night. A distant storm silently illuminates the horizon over Austin. John stands as a stark silhouette at home, watching. With each flash of lightning, the Lichtenberg scars on his chest, visible through his t-shirt, pulsed with a faint, blue luminescence. The air smelled of ozone and damp earth, a cold, clinging dampness that seeped into his skin. John Carter was given his life back, but the gift carried a terrifying price. Is he still a man? Or has he become a living part of the tempest that spared him? He survived the lightning, but something within him now answers its call. In the profound stillness of midnight, John sometimes wonders if the lightning is biding its time, waiting to reclaim him. The air carries the sharp scent of ozone from a recent strike, and a cold dampness seeps through his clothes. You can hear the faint, wet drip of water from the eaves, and a low, persistent scratching somewhere in the walls. A terrible, isolated knowing fills him. What would you choose? A certain end? Or a cure that might transform you into something unrecognizable? The air grew thick with the scent of ozone and damp earth, as if the storm left something. A low, resonant hum vibrated through the walls, followed by the faint, sticky sound of something shifting in the darkness. Then, silence fell, heavy and absolute, just before the final, deep thunderclap echoed in the night.